The One Black Stain. This is a Solomon Kane. It's an entry in Solomon Kane, and also I would say this is actually kind of unique among the things I've read in here because it's not a fragment. It's short and brief, but it's not a fragment like Death's Black Rider, I guess. Um, I guess I should give some context before I start this. This is a Solomon Kane story, Solomon Kane by Robert E. Howard. God rest his brilliant soul. That beautiful bastard of wrightsmanship. And this isn't like a case of Solomon Kane stumbling upon or going on a quest to fight evil. This is actually this tells of a incident in his life before he became a wanderer, I suppose. And it's not even like a full-on short story. In fact, I did try looking this up later while I was reading it just to make sure I was understanding it properly. It's a poem, kind of like the Homecoming one that I still have to read, but it's what the definition is a dramatic narrative. Now, this is like a short story, but in poem form, and it still combines storytelling with dramatics, and actually made sure to keep some notes on this before I did this. It has heightened emotion. It still has quotation. You know who says who and all that. But it mainly covers an incident. Now, this isn't like... Because most poems themselves, especially the ones I've read of Solomon Kane, they do cover an incident from Solomon Kane's life. But this one is very short because it's more like this one moment of his life. Now, this also depicts a real historical event. Whether or not this is blow for blow how it went down and just had Solomon Kane added to it, I cannot say. But it does depict an event in the past that involves Sir Francis Drake. In fact, let me open it because I have my book right here. There was once a man named James Doughty. Sorry, not James Doughty. Thomas Doughty, or Doughty. Doughty. Executed at St. Julian Bay, 1578. Now, this was a real person who Sir Francis Drake had executed. I think they had gotten along before Sir Francis Drake was promoted. He was a nobleman. I don't remember. And I actually did try looking more into Sir Francis Drake after I was remembering this, but I can't remember what I found. But this man executed was a noble. I can't remember if Drake was. Also, as much as I hate to admit this, Uncharted may have colored my perception of Drake in terms of the whole, he was someone who built himself up. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But Drake wasn't even born in England, actually. He was born in, I think, Panama. Because I was looking that up while talking to my dad a few weeks back. And, yeah, he had him beheaded. And if I remember correctly, it was for, I think, mutiny, or he was making life on the vessel very difficult for Drake. That, or he was just not showing him the due, because again, this guy was a noble. Drake most likely wasn't. He probably took umbrage with that fact. And when Sir Francis Drake came back to Britain after this, it was a big scandal. It was not a small... unlike the things that involving Epstein, this was not a minor thing. Probably going to hell for that, but fuck it. And Solomon Kane in this story, he's present for it. He espouses great contempt for it. In fact, to paraphrase it without giving too much away of how it plays out, it reminds me of a line by Dr. Fate in Injustice 2. Justice is blind, not heartless. He also calls the trial they had for Doughty a mockery, a perversion of justice, which is a little funny if you know anything about Puritans and some of their history and some of the things they unfairly are maligned about, probably. And it's just, it's not action, but there is emotion to it. Depending on the kind of person reading it, I suppose. Emotionally, I can be very distant, so maybe I'm not fully grasping it, and also the language is so archaic, let's put it that way. And as I said, I don't know how true this is to the actual event. I know Robert E. Howard did research for a lot of stuff, like when this man was alive, he went before he began running. He raided the local library and read every book they had, and that's what he based all of his writing on. And then he would like word things differently to an extent that is honestly impressive and makes me feel like a hack. And I've been calling everyone else a hack unfairly because I'm right there with them probably in comparison. Because Robert E. Howard, I'm pretty sure him working at 50% is better than most writers at 120%. So yeah, no, this is just a poem, and this wasn't out of the norm for Robert E. Howard. He wrote many poems while he was alive. Like I said, there's Homecoming, there's The One Black Stain that I'm talking about now. There was one for Conan that I remember reading before I got to the one where he's a king having to deal with people basically calling him a tyrant. Conan anyway, not Solomon. Sorry, my memory's a little fuzzy right now, but and it is kind of a tense moment because I think people are it's like a case of who blinks first, I guess. And I really feel like I am talking about something that I don't fully comprehend well. So if you read this and it seems very vastly different from what I'm describing, please let me know. Because I kind of went back to reread some parts of it. I still feel like I'm missing something. But it is a good story. It is a good like entry. It's again just a brief scene. I guess the only way I would describe it is, in a weird way, it kind of reminds me of what I would see in light novels called an interlude chapter, like Goblin Slayer. It would just be like a small episode of people talking, and year one is like, wait, he went to hunt the goblins by himself? Yeah, he could be dead. Well, there was nothing I could do. Did you say something about goblins? He walked up and asked. It could be very short. That's how I would describe this. It's a very, at the very least, memorable. It stands out, and also, I could swear there was an incident in one of the Solomon Kane stories where Solomon Kane encountered Sir Francis Drake's ghost. Maybe this was years after Sir Francis Drake died on his. I forget how he died. I want to say it was like a sea raid or something. Like they were attacking by sea, and he died during it. And maybe had been buried at sea, because I remember that was a plot point in Uncharted 1, Drake's Deception. And like there are lots of weird things about Sir Francis Drake that we probably still don't know. Like the fact that when he came back from a voyage, all his journals were confiscated. And also he had a deep hatred for the Spanish. I'm honestly a little impressed that he, like, anyone who says I hold a grudge too bad, this man held a grudge too bad too. The difference is he had a reason. My reasons are kind of petty and stupid by comparison. And I've probably dragged this out longer than I should, but yeah, no. The One Black Stain, it's in the Savage Tales of Solomon Kane. There's also an omnibus collecting the stories in comic form. It might be more descriptive and better at conveying what's going on in the story than what I've just described, or even this. So if you get the chance, check it out. Again, One Black Stain by Robert E. Howard, Solomon Kane. And, yeah, no, that's about it. Yemo hid. There is evil walking this earth.